Okay, this is the time set for the town of Philipsburg, request for PILT funds for emergency repair of a main water supply pipeline, and we're to make a decision today. Mayor, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Come talk to us. Thank you, we're in receipt of your letter. Appreciate the detail, that's exactly what we wanted to
Very
see.
well put together. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you for your consideration this morning to the entire commission, and I hope that we can come to some understanding here and move forward on the issue. I'm happy that you received that and had a chance to look at it, so you have copies in hand, and we can reference that if we need to with any questions. I believe that it's pretty self-explanatory in terms of what I announced before, the level of possibility of a major catastrophe concerning the line. I went and walked the line about a week ago with one of our staff from the Public Works Department who's pretty knowledgeable about it, and we were looking at approximately 1,600 feet of a continuous line that seems to be the problem right now, or a potential problem. And then there was a couple of other spots below the 1,600 feet that were that are above the second power plant that would need some small consideration. So that's it. That's referenced in here also. And I also would like to note that the entire length of this line is 39,600 feet, approximately 7.5 miles. That our estimates in here are obviously sort of preliminary, but the material pricing I think is fairly accurate. The timeline and so forth is a little bit hard to nail down at this point, but I think we're in the ballpark here with this estimate here regarding the 1,600 feet, which came out to $80.60 per foot. The town would be involved in putting in approximately a quarter mile of spur road to get to this location. It's my understanding that the road that runs up through Granite is a county road. Is that correct? Yeah, parts of it are. And I wasn't sure what we were on. It wasn't just a side note. I don't anticipate anything to do with the county road except access on it. But once we leave the county road, we would be going on to private property, Antonelli property, which we've had some very preliminary discussions with him about that. And he seems amenable to us proceeding with the spur road to connect to the water line. Now, where that water line is about 40% slope and a lot of rock.
Wow.
So you know, there's mobilization and logistics considerations that are a big deal here. So I guess that's where we're at now. And so if you had any questions for me at this time.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, the material part I understand. When you get to, now don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job and that, or check like on a 320 Caterpillar you have $15,000 and you can rent them for $7,000.
Okay.
You can get them for $7,000 a month.
$7,000 a month.
Okay.
Okay.
And, all right, that's just me. So
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I called,
Yeah.
and then do you really need a side by side for $12,000? I mean, I'm gonna be picky. I don't mind helping you guys out, but I mean, you're getting an ATV or something. Isn't there a better way than spending $12,000? Wouldn't you rather put the $12,000 towards a pipe than having something you can putter up and down the mountain on?
Well, I guess once we did this fix, for example, obviously, as I indicated, there's 39,000 plus feet to do. And ultimately, in terms of maintenance and construction and reconstruction, the access is a consideration. And I guess maybe it's not the best metaphor at the moment, but I would term this thing sort of an ambulance, for example. If you got to be able to get to the site. If there's an emergency, you have to be able to get to the site. So that was a consider.
How you been getting to it?
Walking. Yeah, primarily walking. When this pipe was put in years ago, it was laid out during the winter. Snowcats. They used snowmobiles to pull the pipe down in the middle of the winter, and then they hung the pipe and came back in the spring once the layout was done in the winter. That's how they moved all that pipe way back, and I couldn't tell you when that was.
So the purchase of this side by side would be something that would be used for future.
Absolutely. It would be, I'm not gonna say exclusively, but it would be mainly consideration for access to the pipeline for future building and future maintenance. I don't know if you folks were aware that last year we spent quite a bit of time and money on clearing out an access corridor. And we've got approximately 50% of the total 7 miles cleared out now. That is accessible to an off-road vehicle, and by that I mean like a side-by-side or ATV, not a four-wheel drive pickup. It just
Yeah,
wouldn't work. Yeah.
All I'm just saying is when you see that in there, you know, I know what the people are like, what the hell, we need a side.
Right, and
Pretty tough to sell a $12,000 to people.
I can understand your point of view on it, and I actually have.
A four-wheeler or something, I don't know what.
And I guess in terms of the side-by-side, it would be a situation wherein you could put tools in there, like a tool hauler, for example, to get up onto the site with the adequate amount of tools that we would need to be doing work up there. So that's that consideration.
So Dan, is this pipeline in that location above ground or below ground?
It is both. Some of it's above, some of it's below.
So when they replace it, are they gonna put it below ground?
This particular stretch would probably be above ground.
Okay.
Right.
So,
Because of
and
the
then-
rocks?
And then he's, just to get, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Because of the rocks and the terrain?
Yes.
You'd have to drill and blast and open up a whole new ditch.
Okay, so when he goes up there to, you know, when the cat goes up there to help you get your materials in place, he's gonna help you build an access road right beside it, isn't he?
What our initial consideration was that we would, in fact, we being the town, that would be a part of what we would do. That would be part of what we would put in. We would take our we would lease or rent the equipment and let our personnel put the road in,
Okay.
which would sort of mitigate some of the costs.
So at the end of the day, you're gonna have a road.
Yeah, again, it's probably under a quarter mile. That would be an access road to that point, which again is probably one of the hardest points to reach on the entire
Yeah,
line.
I think Commissioner Adams got a point here, so, what we wanna do is we wanna help you, get this thing in this year, so it doesn't fail. I mean, that's really the whole point. I don't wanna buy a bunch of extra stuff, but on the other hand, I did tell you to make sure that you get enough money so that, because this is not a source you're gonna come back to every year.
Absolutely.
We're not a bank, and we're certainly not gonna, give grants, but this is an emergency, and we wanna help you, and we wanna get it done, so make sure you have enough money to get done what you want done, okay? You're gonna have to explain to the public about the ATV. Good luck, but,
So,
yeah, but if, for example, if Commissioner Adder wanted to cut that out, make sure you still have enough money to get it done, okay?
All right.
What I have to explain to the public, as well as you do, is absolutely there's a need, and you absolutely have done a great job putting together the costs, and your taxpayers in the county, and we're gonna help you. That's all I have.
and I don't want you thinking I'm just nitpicking through.
Oh,
it.
not a
looked
bit.
at everything, and then,
I-
so when we jump down to the hired labor, am I reading it wrong? It says installation labor estimates 48,000, then you go down below, and here's another 63,000. So it's a 48, the city's labor, and then the 63, because if you go to the 63 on a 50-hour week, that breaks it down, you're down to $60 an hour for 3 guys a day.
Well, that $15,000 above is included in that 48 for the 63.
Yes.
$15,000 design and then labor for installation. Those two added together is the 63.
Correct. And again, these are obviously preliminary numbers,
Yeah.
and we would have to find out exactly, in terms of design, planning, engineering, consulting, we'd have to find out exactly how much of that we absolutely
The
need.
same part is you break it down here, it says 63 there, but then when you get down here, it says 6 weeks at 8,000. I'm trying to get to see what.
Oh.
I I'm just going through what his figures are, cause that one has a star by it for the 48,000, but then when you jump down to the next paragraph, it says 3-person crew for 6 weeks at 8,000, what's 6
And that's
times 8?
48,000.
And that's 48,000.
Yes.
So
That
see, that's
matches
what,
the installation labor.
there's that 15,000 I was trying to figure out.
That would be consideration of design, planning, and engineering consulting. That's separate from the labor to install. And again, I think that particular number, we would love if we didn't have to go that route, but we have to at least, the possibility of it is there in terms of your request and making sure that we cover as much of it as possible. That's where that's coming from. We don't want to be left flat-footed on that whole aspect of it in terms of the planning part of
Do
it.
you think you have 6 weeks of this year to fix this?
That's the question right now. Worst case scenario, I could see getting started on it, getting everything mobilized, getting all of the materials staged, the road built. That would be a possibility of pushing out toward the end of the construction season. And
But
the
when
question
would
of
you get started if what kind of a time frame do you have to begin work?
I've got phone calls to 2 different contractors right now. I haven't heard back from them. They're in the state. I'll just say that. I don't have their addresses, but I can get you that stuff if you want it. I certainly would like to see some local participation, absolutely. And I guess for me, the situation is what's going on right now at the moment. This discussion, and from this point forward, if the commission is amenable to proceeding with this, then I would hit the ground running and start the process tomorrow in terms of beginning communications with potential contractors, lining that out, trying to get return calls, setting up a show me on site, that whole scenario. And I will tell you right now, as the mayor, I'm taking on a tremendous amount of responsibility with this. And so, but I'm fine with it because I'm the one that was promoting it. And so I don't want to say would be the project manager per se, but I definitely would be in from the beginning of this and making sure that the money was spent correctly and in a timely manner. Obviously, the weather is one of the things we can't control, and so we would be very aware of the passage of time. It's late in the season already. I realize
Sooner the
that.
better.
Absolutely, and I realize where we're at seasonally. I think we were in there some point in November last year before we pulled out of there. And again, obviously, it's a roll of the dice in terms of the weather and what's happening. We're dealing with some obvious elevation issues and that sort of thing.
So Dan, at the position you're at, your design and planning, engineering, you're pretty close, I suppose. You haven't got back any information yet from your contractors. So what if the commission made a motion on the dollar amount up to a certain amount?
Right.
Okay, if we said, and we want to do that today because we want you to get going, we
Right.
want you to, and said, we're committed, okay?
Yes, sir.
So you have the money. So what would that figure be? Would it be the same $130,558, or would it change? If we said, we're committed to up to a certain amount, and I know I'm really putting you on the spot here, but you're,
Well, I guess what my response to that would be that, yeah, I would say that commitment at the 135.58
yeah.
would be,
So you were a little liberal, and good for you if you were.
right,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
And-
If I may, we still have to get formal bids, and we were having trouble pinning down an exact number. And frankly, these contractors, depending on their availability and who's able to do it this year, it could be all over the map, and that's why we're.
Well, I wanna help you guys, but that's the problem, is that you're gonna get into this, don't you already have some designing and planning and engineering already on this? How else would you know what to order? I mean, I'm not trying to be an ass on this, but I'm just saying that I hate seeing all the money going towards the engineer when you've gotta fix the pipe. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we fight with our engineers all the time, so it seems like they're always wanting more, too much, and we fight with them and.
We would be doing what we could to minimize or eliminate those costs. These numbers for the materials were put together by our Public Works Department.
Don't
and
you have already some of this done? the design planning?
Yeah,
How else
we've been
would-
working on it for a couple of years now
Okay,
of
so
getting
why
these
would you
numbers
have to
together.
go back through and pay the engineering again?
Because he's gonna come back and be on site when they're putting it in to make sure it's the way he designed it.
And
It's like-
That's not the question.
Well, it is an answer to the question, though. You said, why would you have to put another 15,000, or excuse me, yeah.
Haven't they
15,000.
already paid him to do this?
No,
stuff?
'cause he'll-
Then why'd they do it?
Well, he'll come back and he'll watch the construction and direct the construction and make sure, and he's gonna charge him for
And we'll give all of our numbers that are in there and everything we have to the engineer to try to minimize their amount of time they spend, but 15,000 unfortunately doesn't go as long
that.
as
No.
we'd like with the engineers. Hopefully it comes out less expensive than that, but
So Robert, here's the question for me. If we approve $130,558 up to that amount, okay? And you guys do the very best you can, is that gonna be enough to get the job done?
I believe so.
I mean, I hope you guys have talked about this. I don't wanna go redesign your whole thing, and all I wanna say is you've done the very best you can, and then you fairly liberally added how many dollars it would take, right? So maybe the engineer doesn't charge you 15, maybe charge you 10, but, okay? So then you'll give us an accounting of what you spent up to 135.58, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so should the motion be, that we agree to participate in this project up to that level, right? Are you good with that?
That sounds
That-
good.
Yes.
When we first talked, was we talking that, and I'm not trying to cause a problem from a lower or upper, I thought we were all kind of staying at the same price. Each needed close to 100,000 when you first come in.
This was a conversation that is referencing Drummond, for example, and when you say upper and lower, I'm not sure.
Well,
what
that's
you're
what
talking
I'm just saying, because, you know, we're gonna help with the water tower.
I don't wanna get in that, but I'm sorry, I probably stuck my foot. I told both mayors, okay, they were talking 100,000, I said, okay, you can't come back to this well again all the time. So knowing that, make sure you get enough money to get the job done. Is it gonna be as much as Philipsburg were, no, and we wanna stay away.
I'm not trying to get into it,
Yeah, I don't
I'm
wanna
just
get
saying
into
what
it.
I heard when it was said.
Get what you need, yeah, that was what was said, you're right. And all I'm saying is that I think we're in a little different place. They ought to get the money they need to get that job done, and to hell with how much Philipsburg got versus Drummond. I know Mayor Leeper doesn't care, he's good with it, so.
Well, I just don't think it's
No.
relevant because they're two different projects and they're both highly in need, so.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Okay,
Who's gonna make the motion?
I have a hard, I mean, I wanna make a motion help to do it with that, just like I said with the excavator, I don't know who you talked to or not, but like there you can see 7,500. And then on that, I guess that side-by-side thing is just gonna be hard selling for me. But I would make a motion to help you out, make sure and check in on different equipment rental, cause I've called around and everybody's right around that 7,000 Case, Caterpillar, John Deere. So I don't know who you talked to, but. And it wasn't that I was questioning your price, but the only reason I know, cause we just called on the
Right.
320 excavator.
Right.
That's, you know, that $7,000 will go towards your materials, which drops it down to, you know, 33.
And I think we'd like an accounting of the project as it goes along too. you know.
Right, well, sure, that's
We'd have to have
completely
that.
understandable.
So the motion is to go ahead with the 135,558 up to that level, right? Is that right?
Yes. That's, from my perspective,
No,
yes.
I mean, Scott,
Yeah.
Scott's making the motion, so I'm asking. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I just don't wanna give them the, yeah, I I guess I just worried about, you know, I mean, they come in with a $15,000 excavator. I guess that just stuck in my mind. I should just let it go, I guess, but that's $7,000 they can put towards their other stuff. So if we just tell you we're gonna give you the $130,000, would you guarantee us that you'll go and actually call around these other places and see if you can get them cheaper?
Absolutely, on
I'm not
everything.
trying to tell you how
Yeah.
to do your job, but I just,
No, but
I
that's,
just called this morning, that's why I know it's
Okay,
$7,000.
absolutely, that's the due diligence that we wanted, that's the approach we want to take.
I wanna help you, but
Yeah.
I just, and I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job, but there's places that you can cut stuff that it'll help you out too.
Right.
Is there a second to the motion?
I will second that motion.
So, Mike, read me the motion.
Well, just a second, hold on, Mike.
So Commissioner Adler, if I think it's okay to say up to an amount. I agree with you. I'm gonna ask that they take a look at their side-by-side and all the rental and everything. And if they walk in here and it's less than $130,000, I think that's good public policy.
I agree.
That we wanna look at that. I think Commissioner Adler's right about a cut things, but I think you were liberal. That's probably smart, because that's what I asked you to do, okay?
Great.
But that doesn't mean you have to spend every dime of that. And
Absolutely.
if you wanna sell it to your public or buy a side-by-side, good luck. I think he's trying to help you.
I understand that.
This is not what this is about, buying equipment for the city, it's fixing an issue, okay? So you can rethink that, and when it comes in, that's not in there, or you were able to get a better deal, God bless you, okay? That's just good public policy. Are you okay with that? Oh, okay. So read me the motion.
Commissioner Adler moved that the town of Philipsburg be provided with county PILT funds of up to $130,558 for this project.
Excellent. Is that what your motion, are you good with that? What the? You good with that? Okay. Is there a second?
I second it.
There's a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion?
I think the only thing is to give us an accounting as the project progresses.
Sure. You feel free to come up, get on the agenda, and let's talk about this as we're doing it.
Absolutely.
The commission is not here to redesign your project or tell you what we're actually doing is trying to make sure that everybody understands that the money is being spent properly. Okay.
I understand that. And I will be in contact with you, and as things proceed, I will get on the agenda and we'll give you updates.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
So is there any public comment on the motion?
Just a thank you.
Thank you, that's good. Anything else? Well,
No, nothing.
Mr. Bond.
I think what they're saying here and the uncertainty on terms of the bid is more an indication that the project should be put up for public bid. And I assume you don't intend to do that, so.
We do.
Why would you assume that? They're gonna put it up.
You're gonna put,
Robert,
Up to
you wanna
bid?
respond?
Yes, so
Absolutely.
as a public works
Yep.
project over $80,000, it's gonna be in the newspaper twice, 2 different newspapers.
So
and
you are
we'll
gonna
be
put it up
seeking
for bid?
public bids, yes, sir.
okay, thank you.
Any further public comment on the motion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mayor.
Well,
We're excited
again,
about-
thank you very much for your consideration, and we will hit the ground running on this and keep you guys.
I was really
posted.
impressed with your letter and answering
So
everything
Gail,
that
did
we
you see
needed.
what they gave us?
I didn't.
Well, we'll give you copies because
That's
that's what
great.
we want.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, you did a good job. Thanks, Steve.
It was, quite quickly that I had to come up
No,
with
we're doing Gail's project in the spring as her recommendation, but when you get closer, you know.
Oh, yeah, it'll be, the engineer's on it.
Perfect. Just makes it easier, okay?
Well, the public should be able to read it.
Yep. Okay.
I'll get it from him. Thank you.
If you got it. Oh, go ahead, I'm gonna grab one. Thanks.
So Gail, we did have on the agenda, the town of Drummond request for PILT funds. Did you have anything to add?
I don't.
Okay. Thanks for
I
coming.
don't at this time. I just wanted to come up and support Mayor Reddish in
Okay.
the project.
I
And
pa-
we'll get it itemized
I passed
stuff
it.
out to you.
I passed it on, Gail, too, that, I talked to Sean O'Connor, just so the public knows that they get 50 to 60,000 gallons of water on that a year. I think people need, realize, you know what I'm trying to, or
Well, it doesn't just, I
It's
mean,
not
we
just-
don't want to get into the thought process of selling water to the district fire department because the fire wasn't in Drummond. That's not what that is, It's not what any of that is about, so.
and they feel that drop, they will feel it like in 3 to 5 minutes.
Right, exactly,
Which is awesome.
Run their trucks through.
yeah.
I talked to him about it about that.
Yeah, and our engineer Brad Kuhn is, I'll get put on the agenda and have an itemized of all of that. I just wanted to secure the funds for budget purposes.
What you have.
Yeah.
Good job.